So as you guys might know, we just had the Blueface versus Chibi fight and the legendary Gypsy Crusader versus Super Hot about a couple of weeks ago now. It went by pretty fast, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it. The fights were pretty good. To be perfectly honest, I was more excited for the the Blueface versus Chibi fight because I did have an idea of how the Gypsy fight was going to go. I won't lie, Super Hot, he did surprise me. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I expected him to just get washed and just get thrown around, but he put up a pretty good fight. So shout out to Super Hot for showing up and showing out. But I'm not here to talk about like the fight itself. I'm more interested in talking about a particular part. Now I'm gonna show a clip, and this is probably the only clip I'm gonna show. There's something that Super Hot said before the fight that I wanted to have a conversation about. And it's been on my mind for the last few weeks because there's been a very small conversation revolving around it. They said a lot of things, but I'm going to show you the clip and then we're going to have a conversation about it. So let's do that right now.
Say the cheeser.
Who the is Cheeser?
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I know he's not racist. I know he's fake.
Oh, wait, hold on. No,
I know he's fake because listen to me. If he was really racist, he'd be a doctor somewhere making kids sick. If he was really racist, he'd be a basketball coach and he'd be telling the best kid that he sucks, crushing his dream. If you was really racist, you really be doing some shit. If you was really racist, you wouldn't share the ring with a guy. You're a fake as I'ma dominate you.
Okay. I don't think any of that even made any sense.
I can't wait.
Like it's hard to reply to such stupidity.
You're not racist. Real G's moving silence like lasagna. If you was racist, you're saying nigga, real racist don't say
no,
real racist,
I don't say that.
Nigga.
I don't say that. And
I'll
tell you what.
Nigga, real racists go up to people and talk to them and act friendly and behind their back are racist. Real racists wear a mask. The fact that you're out and about racist, you're not doing a very good job of it.
Maybe it's just because I'm not afraid of any of you.
All right, shut up.
I found this part to be pretty interesting. There are a lot of things that happened during this fight, when it comes to the trash talking and them, doing the basic pregame when it comes to a boxing match. But out of everything that happened this night between Gypsy and Super, this particular situation and topic piqued my interest the most because it's a conversation that has been had amongst Black people, specifically Black people, for a pretty long time, if I'm being honest. The difference between niggas and Black people. And in this particular situation, Super Hot mentions that, Gypsy is not a real racist. And the example he gives, while extreme, it in some way rings true. What he's talking about to people who just see it and pawning off his humor is a level of racism that's deep rooted within the Black community, I would say, against their own people and how they deal with their oppressors. Specifically white people in this particular situation, seeing how Gypsy is, I don't even actually believe is white. To my understanding, he looks like he's a little mixed with something. And from what I understand, what I've done a little bit of research on, he is not exactly white, Caucasian, European in descent. But you guys can quote me that. You guys can fact check me that down below. But the point I'm trying to make here is that while it was extreme and while it was extreme and Super was kind of going off, what he says has a lot of validity. Real racists don't function in the way that Gypsy did. To be perfectly honest with you, if they did, it'd be a lot easier. What he means by moving in silence and moving lasagna, I know he was trying to make a joke there, but that's the type of racist that Gypsy isn't actually a threat. Gypsy is what you might consider, in his own physical persona, a clown. He is the physical representation of what niggas hate, not Black people. No self-respecting, well-informed Black person has an issue with Gypsy on the surface level, right? Or even fundamentally speaking, he is no threat to us. Me, myself, anyone that conducts themselves among society in a normal state or, in a respected state doesn't see Gypsy as a threat. He walks around, he says the N-word with a hard R. He makes jokes. He brings up the 13%. The things you see on a Twitter comment section or something like that, or a Twitter thread or a Reddit thread. things of that nature that you would see. Nothing that has any real weight to it, nothing that could actually do something to a black person. And that's what Gypsy himself, kind of markets himself as. This loud, I'm not afraid of anyone, nothing affects me. But in actuality, his form of racism, to be perfectly honest with you, would be preferred than what Supa Hot is talking about. And what Supa Hot is talking about is the actual racist, or the reserved racist, or the modern day racist, the guy that he's your boss. He's your landlord. He's the bank owner at whatever bank you work at. And he's going to deny your loan application. He's going to deny your mortgage application. He's not going to give you a job. When you apply, he's going to throw away your resume as soon as you leave the door. He's going to smile in your face. He's going to shake your hand. He's going to tell you came early, offer you a position of a higher pay. The whole nine. And then at the end, you'll never hear back from him. You won't get a call. You won't get an email. You won't get nothing. You may get an email from him, his receptionist, but it'll be the typical corporate jargon bullshit you hear, at every other job you applied to that year. So what Super is saying in not so many words is that Gypsy isn't a threat. He's not a racist that anybody of any basic level of intelligence, any black person, should or need be concerned with, because Gypsy has no power. He relinquished any power, quote unquote, he would have over the black community by being open about it, because as much as people don't want to hear it or don't want to accept, racism cannot survive in the current state of this world. There's no place for it. It can't survive. It has cannibalized itself. An open racist won't be tolerated. KKK themselves, one of the leading groups of this, can't survive in today's society. They just wouldn't work. They'd get attacked. They wouldn't be able to survive as far as, having, food or ways to feed themselves with daily regular jobs. They couldn't function in society. So extreme levels of racism cannot function in this society. And what Gypsy is doing, if you watch the entire interview, he talks about how his life is. He can't work with everyone. He can't trust anyone to give him a hotel. He had to fly on his own. He wouldn't let Aiden pay for anything. He couldn't have security that he didn't know, because his life is in a constant state of, he has to watch his back. He has to look over his shoulder. He's in a constant state of disarray. So would anybody want to live like that doesn't have a way to perform on their own? Maybe you can argue that he said he doesn't care. He's not scared, which is fine. I can believe that. I do believe him. I believe he is a hateful person. He says he hates black people. If you listen to his rhetoric, I'm not going to sit here and say he is not a racist. I would say he is not the one you should be worried about. He is the least. He's not, you know what I mean? He's not the racist that anyone or any self-respecting black person will be angry about. He's a racist that some niggas online are going to see, get angry about, make content about. But you'll notice you don't see any of the channels that actually focus on industrialized or institutionalized racism, like FD Signifier, Studio Pillboy. No reputable pro-black channel, or however you want to call it, if you want to call them Hotep, whatever label you give them, is ever going to make a video on someone like Gypsy Crusader, because he's a laughingstock in the grand scheme of things. He poses no real economical threat to any black person at all whatsoever. I'm pretty sure he does not own properties. I'm pretty sure he's not a landlord of any type. No one would try to get a job in his company or corporation because he is so very obviously black. And to put the cherry on top, other racists would not work with him for the simple fact that he is open about it, and he would damage their interests. You see a racist that maybe he works at a multi-billion-dollar company. There aren't enough people who hate black people to the level that he does where they could profit off of it, right? So they have to get money from everyone. They could hate me because I'm black or whatever the case may be, but does it make them money saying that out loud? What do they achieve by that? The law isn't going to allow. The last time I checked, you can't lynch black people on the street. So, what do they gain from being so overtly racist to people for the sake of it? Even if they're not a part of the 13% and they're just a regular black person holding a job, what do they gain by that? They gain nothing. So, I say that to say that Gypsy's form of racism is juvenile. You know, it's the equivalent of someone throwing playground insults at you. They don't do anything. They may sound harsh and they may affect you in the moment, but as soon as you remove yourself from that equation, you step away or you decide you don't want to deal with this anymore, he has no power over you, no real economic impact or anything of that nature. He can't do anything to you. He is of no importance. So, I wanted to talk about this because it was something that I immediately understood what Supa Hot was trying to say. The way that he decided to portray it, it was just pawned off as like, comedy relief because of the persona he's built for himself online. But I hear what you're saying, Supa Hot, and I understand you. You know, anyone that understands racial dynamics and the difference between niggas and black people understand who Supa Hot is talking about. And he's not talking about me or even people like him. He's talking about surface level niggas, people on Twitter that just get angry and, they see Gypsy and they think he's a problem. He's not even at the front door. He's of no concern. Stopping him would prove nothing. It'd make him a martyr. So no points are won, no achievements are had, no victories, nothing happens if Gypsy were to be executed or anything of the nature. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that today because it really sat with me. Out of everything that happened with the Gypsy fight, as I mentioned, I wasn't that interested in the Supa Hot Gypsy fight. While Super did surprise me, I unfortunately expected him to lose. He surprised me, but it went as I thought. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about this down in the description below. In the comments below. Let me know what you guys think about this. How do you feel about the Gypsy and what Supa Hot had said to say to him? Because while I do believe some of it was probably satire, him trying to spice it up, there is validity to what he said, and it's not all just him going off at the mouth. But yeah. Like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, rating out.